And now back to the trial of Luigi, who is charged with the killing of a CEO here in Manhattan. We are joined again by Jeremy Rosenthal, trial attorney and founding partner of Rosenthal, Calabas, and Therian. Jeremy, it's good to see you again. I hope your audio's working.
I hope so too.
Well, I can hear you perfect. That is great. Now, let's jump in where we left off before, right? Talk about this extradition that needs to happen before he can come to New York and face trial.
When you're talking about extradition between two different states, it's a very simple process. Fundamentally, all you're trying to do is get the paperwork straight. If you contest extradition from one state to another, the other state where they're trying to get you has to produce what's called a governor's warrant. Again, it is simply clerical work, and in a case like this, they're absolutely going to get it right. Extradition between one country and another can be a lot more complicated. International treaties, these types of things. But you can be pretty sure he's going to get extradited to New York, whether he contests it or not.
And Jeremy, I think it's also interesting to note that he's been charged with crimes in both Pennsylvania and New York.
I mean, he committed crimes. It sounds like he is being accused of committing crimes in both, right? When you arrest him in Pennsylvania, he's in possession of all of these documents. He's in possession of this gun that sounds like it was made on a 3D printer. So he's committed offenses, it sounds like, in both states. So you would think that he's going to face liability in both. Obviously, Pennsylvania is going to cede the way, let New York take the lead. I mean, you've got a murder charge there, so I think they're gonna let him go there and do that.
I want to talk about this 3-page handwritten document that the police found, which NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says it speaks to both his motivation and a mindset. Now, we're not sure exactly what it says right now, but how could a document like this be used in court, or can it be used at all?
Well, it goes to his motive, right? The motive here, or the indications initially were that this was an assassination attempt based on the fact that this person was the CEO of a major insurance company, and this defendant had a big beef with insurance companies. So if there's a writing out there or other publications that tend to match it, it tends to show a common plan or scheme. And there's actually specific rules of evidence that allow prosecutors to utilize things that show a common thread. Obviously, you don't want to give this person, you don't want to give his cause any undue publicity, right? Because I mean, the man committed murder, so you don't want to promote his cause. So, but it sounds like the authorities wanted to release at least enough information to show that the footprint is matching here.
And Jeremy, how strong is the prosecution's case against Mangione?
At the moment, it's circumstantial, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is simply evidence that it takes an inference to complete the cycle. In other words, I go to bed at night, there's no snow on the ground. I wake up in the morning and there's snow on the ground. I didn't actually see it snow, but I know that it's there, as compared to watching the snow falling from the sky. There's no confession here, but you've got video evidence. You've got all of these writings which are matching up. You've got him being caught with the weapons. You've got all the forged documents and the trail. You've got other video evidence of him pulling his mask down. So you have a lot of these circumstantial links that sort of tighten. And I think the deeper and deeper the authorities get into this, I think the tighter this is going to get. I mean, it sounds like they've got their guy here.
Now, given what we've been seeing so far and all of the circumstantial evidence you're talking about here, what position do you expect the defense to take?
You never know. I mean, look, if somebody's framing this guy, they're doing an awfully good job of it, right? But you never know. You can always try to mount a defense there. You could also try to potentially mount a defense around his mental health, depending on what you find there. I don't know that it's going to be enough for an acquittal for what you would call a not guilty by reason of insanity. But again, if you're the defense, you're investigating different links. And anytime in a criminal case where there's not a confession, there might be a little something to work with. So again, we're going to have to wait and see what that is. It may not be particularly strong. This may be a guilty plea. New York does not have the death penalty, so the person does have something to lose. The prosecution may not come out of the gate and demand a life sentence. So there could be some room for plea negotiation here. But you never know how the defense is going to shake out. But obviously, like we said, anytime you get a case with this much scrutiny, I mean, you had a nationwide dragnet for the man. You better believe that the authorities are going to make this as tight as they possibly can, and it does leave very little room for a comprehensive defense.
Yeah, Jeremy, go a little deeper on that. What exactly are the legal proceedings we're going to see in the coming weeks?
What they have to do is they have to take this case to a grand jury. They have to get indictments for all of these charges that they've alleged. They've alleged, again, murder. They've alleged possession of the weapons. They've alleged all this forgery with the different documents. They're going to go to a grand jury, and then you're going to have a phase where the defense is going to be entitled to see the prosecution's case. The defense is going to have the ability to do their own investigation and to try to run down leads on their own. They're legally entitled to do that. And then ultimately, either this results in a plea bargain or potentially it gets set for a trial.
And so do you see any possibility of the federal government stepping in at any point?
You never know. It looks like there's a lot of trigger points here where the feds can get involved. You've got some interstate movement. You've got some motives behind this assassination that I don't know if that's going to be enough in and of itself to trigger any federal liability. But it's possible and plausible that there could be some federal interest here.
Jeremy, last question for you here. This case, as we saw, received nationwide, even global attention. Of course, the suspect is always innocent until proven guilty, right? But then there's also the court of public opinion. Now, with such extensive coverage playing into this trial, do you see the court of public opinion playing a role in all of this?
It always does, whether we like it or not, right? In this instance, you've got this man who's got a cause, which is anti-insurance company, and you've heard sentiment. I've heard sentiment that is essentially in support of him. Now, I don't think anybody anywhere would think that murder is okay to do that, and I don't know that that's going to be enough to do anything other than maybe move the trial to a different location. But on the flip side of it, obviously, the more and more the public is reading about it, the public is enthralled with this story. It's got all the aspects of a movie or a spy novel. So the public is really digging in. And again, all of these facts, these circumstantial facts, seem to be narrowing and narrowing and narrowing in on him. So it's always going to be hard and challenging to get a fair trial for him. But there was a trial this last summer for the most recognizable human on the planet, Donald Trump. Everybody's going to get a trial, and he'll be no different, public opinion notwithstanding.
Well, this is only the beginning of this trial. There's still a lot to look out for. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Jeremy Rosenthal, trial attorney and founding partner of Rosenthal, Calabas and Therian, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.